30,000 feet above the Atlantic. The cabin is hushed, passengers drifting in and out of sleep. A few soft clinks of glasses, the quiet shuffle of attendants offering water, everything feels routine. Then, the stillness fractures. The captain's voice cuts through the intercom, trembling with urgency. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are any combat pilots on board, please come to the cockpit immediately. The words hang in the air like a lightning strike. Confusion ripples down the aisles. People murmur, craning their necks, eyes wide. And in row 14, a woman stirs awake. Her name is Adriana Vega, 31 years old. 2 years earlier, she had been one of the Air Force's best fighter pilots, a master of the skies, known for pulling off impossible maneuvers in the F-18. But she had left that world behind after a mission went catastrophically wrong. A mission that still haunted her. Now she wore only a hoodie and faded jeans, hoping for anonymity. Just another traveler escaping the noise of life. No one around her knew she once flew into firestorms of missiles. No one knew she'd sworn she'd never touch a cockpit again. But the captain's words, they lit a spark she thought had died. Her chest tightened. Combat pilots? Why would a commercial jet ever need one? She hesitated. Part of her screamed to stay hidden, to keep the promise she'd made to herself. But another part, instinct, training, duty, was already pulling her toward the aisle. She stood. Whispers followed. Is she really a pilot? Adriana ignored them, her face carved from steel. When she entered the cockpit, her pulse kicked hard. The sight was worse than she imagined. The captain, pale and drenched in sweat, was barely holding the controls. His co-pilot lay unconscious, oxygen mask slipping off. Red warnings blinked and shrieked across the panels. Outside, the storm clawed at the aircraft, lightning slashing the sky. The captain's voice cracked. We lost autopilot. Controls are damaged. My co-pilot's down. If I black out, this plane's gone. Adriana's hand slid over the controls, her muscle memory sparking to life. She inhaled deeply. I can fly this. The captain blinked at her. Who are you? She met his eyes. Call sign Falcon. United States Air Force. Retired. Taking the right seat. Her grip tightened on the yoke. The plane lurched, oxygen masks dropping in the cabin. Gasps and screams erupted behind the locked door. Adriana's focus narrowed. She'd faced anti-aircraft fire. She'd danced through missile locks. She'd survived maneuvers that broke lesser pilots. Compared to that, this storm was just another enemy. Left engine unstable, she muttered, adjusting throttle. Hydraulics failing, the captain warned. Adriana's jaw set. Then we fly her like a wounded bird. One wing at a time. She fought the turbulence with precision, coaxing the aircraft through violent air currents. Every move was a razor's edge, too sharp, the fuselage could tear apart, too soft, they'd sink into the ocean. In the cabin, passengers clutched hands, cried, whispered prayers. A little boy asked his mother, Mom, is she a guardian angel? The mother, tears streaming, whispered back, Yes, sweetheart. She is. Minutes bled into hours. Fuel dwindled. The storm refused to break. Adriana's muscles screamed, her nerves burning, but she didn't let go. Then, a flicker of hope. Runway lights glimmered faintly through the storm, an emergency strip at a coastal military base. She keyed the radio. This is Transair 762. Former USAF pilot at controls. Request immediate landing clearance. Static hissed, then a steady voice replied. Copy that, Falcon. You're cleared to land. We've got you. The runway rushed toward them. Crosswinds hammered the jet, shoving it sideways. Every soul on board held their breath. Adriana whispered to herself. Steady, steady. The wheels slammed asphalt, bounced once, twice, before biting down. Reverse thrust roared. The plane skidded, shuddered, but held. And then, at last, it slowed, stopped. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then the cabin erupted in cheers, sobs, applause. People clung to each other, crying, laughing, alive. Adriana's hands shook as she lifted them off the controls. The captain, eyes wet, turned to her. You just saved 310 lives. But Adriana shook her head softly. No. They saved me. For years, she had carried the weight of her fallen squadron, convinced she wasn't worthy of life. But in this cockpit, fighting for strangers, she rediscovered the part of herself she thought was gone. When she stepped into the cabin, passengers surged to their feet, clapping, reaching out to touch her hand. The little boy ran to her, wrapping his arms around her leg. Thank you, Angel. Adriana smiled through tears. For the first time in years, she felt whole. She hadn't asked for recognition. Not medals, not headlines. Only peace. And somehow, by saving others, she had found it again. Row 14 would never be forgotten, because that was where the angel was sleeping, waiting for the call. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to remember that strength often hides in the unlikeliest places.